With the events of Revenge of the Sith having taken place, our alternate story takes place just after she gives birth to Luke and Leia. When Padme says, "there's still good in him," referring to Anakin, instead of dying, she merely passes out due to exhaustion. Checking her vitals, Obi-Wan confirms with the droids that she is very much alive, just exhausted. To help him board Padme and the two newborn children on his ship, taking them to Tatooine. Dropping them off with the young Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, he tells them he will return. However, there is one thing he must do before then, and this is to find the only person who knows about any connection to the Skywalker family, the disgusting Watto. Tracking him down, Padme awakens with the familiar Owen and Beru by her bedside. Asking where her children are, they assure her everything is alright. Screaming for Anakin, she is given a tonic to calm her down. Upon Kenobi's return from dealing with Watto in whatever way he had to for the protection of the Skywalkers, he told Padme everything that had happened on Mustafar. Reluctant but eventually succumbing to the news about Anakin, she was determined to bring him back, telling Obi-Wan how she had sensed the good in him. Telling her she's wrong and that Vader has killed Anakin, corrupted by his lust for power and to be the best, she disregarded anything more he had to say. Packing her things and the children, knowing that if she couldn't bring him back, then seeing Luke and Leia might. She left for her ship, Obi-Wan insisting he had to go with her. Padme defiantly refused, causing Obi-Wan to sneak onto her ship for the second time, just like he had on Mustafar. She sped through the galaxy towards the Empire's production of the Death Star, hoping Anakin may have something to do with it and be nearby. A general of some sort requesting for her identity to reveal herself as her ship entered the hangar of a massive Imperial vessel. She told them who she was and that she was to see Anakin. They forwarded the message to Emperor Palpatine, who had previously told Anakin she died in order to seal his fate to the dark side, causing him a cycle of endless pain and suffering. Upon overhearing that she was indeed alive and here to see him, Vader told the general to allow her to dock her ship aboard the hangar against the Emperor's orders. Vader immediately walked to see her, staggering as his relatively new prosthetic legs tottered towards the door of her ship. As it opened, he saw her run to him, then abruptly stopping once she caught sight of the masked mechanical monster he had turned into. Recognizing her fear, he removed his helmet only for a moment so that he could see her with his own eyes, revealing his burn scars and albino pigments. She could see his eyes were the same shade of blue as before. Running into his arms and hugging him, their height difference even more prominent now with his boots and cybernetics. She touched his face, expressing her love for him, to come back with her, to leave his life and continue theirs. He turned away, told her to join him here, that he could provide peace and protection for her. She walked back inside the ship, moments later returning with her arms carrying their newborn children. His knees buckled at the sight. Walking towards one another, he looked at Luke and Leia, touching their little cheeks with his massive robotic gloved fingers. "We need you," she said to him, as his children blankly stared up at their disfigured father, his eyes watering heavily. He looked back at the Emperor, who had begun to walk down to her ship, forbidding Anakin to leave, threatening to deactivate his suit if he disobeyed. Anakin, surprised, looked at the Emperor in horror. He wasn't his apprentice. He was his slave, his pet to do his bidding. This angered Anakin. Putting his helmet back on his head, motioning for Padme to get back into the ship, he ignited his lightsaber on the Emperor, only to fall to his knees as Palpatine deactivated his suit, causing his life support system to make it even more difficult to breathe. A second lightsaber was ignited. Anakin knew this was it. He was going to be killed by Palpatine, until he saw a familiar blue aura illuminate his face as Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped between him and Darth Sidious. "Your reign is at an end, Your Highness," said Obi-Wan as he stood in his defense battle position, readying himself for the Emperor's attack. The Emperor fired Force lightning at Kenobi, who deflected it with his saber. Vader, still on his knees, threw his lightsaber to his old master, who was now wielding both sabers of light and dark at the Emperor, blocking lightning with one and inching closer with the other. Backed into a corner, the Emperor ignited his spare lightsaber, ending his lightning attack and ensuing in an epic battle to the death. Kenobi was no match for him. Even with his two lightsabers, he could not keep up. Sidious sliced his arm off and Force pushed him into the wall 30 feet behind. As he flew in the air, he threw Anakin his lightsaber, catching it and sustaining himself with the Force through his anger and determination. The Master and Apprentice squared off. Each of their blows created the biggest clashes the universe had ever seen. Padme ran to Obi-Wan, helping him onto the ship as Vader and Sidious continued to battle to the death, all the Imperial staff watching from all over like an old Roman gladiator arena. The battle looked like 100 police cars in pursuit at night, red and blue bursts illuminating the faces of all onlookers, wondering who their allegiance would be towards at just any moment. Obi-Wan saw Anakin was not the same fighter he had been on Mustafar, his obvious cybernetics causing him to have become slower and less fluid. The Emperor would have been no match for Anakin, but as Darth Vader, now, it was not so easy for the Chosen One. Not waiting for the fate of the galaxy to be turned to the Emperor's hand, Obi-Wan yelled at Anakin to push on 3, an old move they had practiced and mastered together in a previous life. On the count of 3, both Obi-Wan and Vader sent the most powerful force push they could towards the Emperor, sending him into the air and knocking him off his feet. Using this advantage, Vader boarded Padme's ship, leaving the Imperial vessel in the dust of the galaxy. Anakin, Padme, and their children sought refuge on a new planet every several months to outrun the Empire and stay hidden. Anakin was brought back to the light side of the Force through Padme's love and his children's need. He and Obi-Wan, through many years of attempting to settle their differences for the greater good of the children, would eventually train them to be the most powerful Jedi Knights in the galaxy, a dynamic duo of brother and sister eventually rising to overthrow the Empire and Darth Sidious as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Star Wars Theory. I thought I would do this little what-if scenario since you've all been asking so much for a what if Padme survived. There are many different renditions of this that I could do, and many different side stories that I could go into, so if there's one that you would like me to particularly do, let me know in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed the part 2 episode to the What If Darth Maul Trained Anakin Skywalker video, which is now up on the channel if you haven't checked it out. I wish you all a great day or night wherever you're watching this, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends. As always,
may the Force be with you.
Now, fulfill your destiny.